your skirt up. As you can see, the paint on this car is not beautiful. The bumpers and the chrome are not beautiful. Unfortunately, I'm getting to a point where I'm going to have to paint this car. I kind of like it like this, but it's getting some rust. Like this rocker's going. There's quite a bit of shit happening to it. And I don't want to buy all new chrome and all new everything. And if I paint it really beautiful, it's going to look stupid with old chrome and old bumpers and all that stuff. Plus, I have to paint that coronet, that part of it, because it's mostly original paint. And I want that to kind of blend in and look like it should. So this is partly a practice. But what I'm doing is I sprayed this roof with a white sealer. My idea that I want, when I'm done with this car, I want it to look like it was a well-kept old lacquer paint job that just somebody gave a little too much love to and kind of rubbed through it in places. So that's what I'm shooting for on this roof. And I've never done this before because people bring shit here to make it look nice, not make it look like crap. Well, I've got to figure out how to make it look like crap. So I'm going to try, I've just done this with sealer. I'm going to try spraying a little bit of paint on the outside here, a little bit of this dark color on the outside here, and then I'll sand it in tomorrow to make it look like it's kind of worn through. I think I'll put a little black, maybe a few places too, so it sort of looks like you've sanded through into the primer. Because a lot of these cars originally were painted one color and the dealer painted the top. It happened I've seen quite a few of them that were the base color underneath the white. This one wasn't, that I could tell. But my idea is to make it look like that. So hopefully it'll look like the white's worn through. Even though the red's on top, hopefully it'll look like the white's worn through. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if my theory holds water. This way I can kind of... There's two ways I can do this. I can spray the dark color underneath and sand through the white. Or I can put the dark on top and hopefully it looks like I went through the white. But this way I can kind of control what is going on in the car. So I'm going to give it a shot here. And if I get too much on it or whatever, I can sand it out. I mean, should work. If it doesn't work, I'll paint it pretty white and call it a fail. So I think along the front and along these edges are where you would normally see it kind of rub through. I don't want it everywhere though. I may paint everywhere today and then sand back to the white tomorrow. I'm not sure. See how it works out. Corners would be typically more worn through than anywhere else. I think again here, and this is probably one of the places I'll have the black. I think I'm going to want a little more material there to work with. I'm guessing. I have no idea what I'm doing here. But now I think in this corner, I might want a fair bit of wear. Kind of come up in there. And I can control this. I'm going to sand the whole roof, so it's going to turn kind of pinky. I'll sand the whole roof tomorrow. I'll wet sand it all. What I'll do, I'll just shoot a clear over this with a little bit of flattening agent in it. So it's not glaringly shiny. I guess we'll see how it looks. Over here where the old arm would go, I want to see a fair bit up here. People get in and out, hang on to the roof. I would think it makes sense. This is quite worn. The corner, again, same idea. Corners always wear out more. If you ever buff the car, you know that. And just a little bit along that leading edge. Now, like I say, we'll kind of sand through it. We'll figure out what's going to look right tomorrow. And if it looks wrong, well, like I say, Hell, it's just a sealer anyway. I'll sand it, put some nice white pearl on it or something, and we'll scrap this whole project. See you tomorrow. This is my inspiration, and this is why I'm practicing this. Because I need to make this trunk lid look like the rest of this car. So I got to figure this out. So that's why I'm working on my 57. I'm practicing for this bad boy, because this car is important. So the big thing I need to do is look over this car, kind of see the wear patterns in the paint. So as you look at the wear patterns, you kind of see this has been well cared for. Sitting outside, but I don't know how is this well cared for, but it is. But you see the paint. It is lifted some places. You see where it's worn through. A lot of that is just, you know, it's erosion. You can't really see it here in the camera. It's getting thin across here. You know, you can see it up in there. It's thin. It's so I think what I need to do, you can see all along this chrome edge, it's really like it's right down. So I need to get to this. I won't age as much as I'm doing my car. I'm practicing quite a bit of, I'm just practicing different techniques on mine as I go. And I'm gonna try to learn how to do this because I want this to look right. You see that edge? That's very typical, high spot. See it's getting thin in here over that factory lead seam. You can see down here where it's worn through. I think there must have been a repair done down there. And on this fender. Seems they said a snow blower hit it or something years ago. But that's kind of what we're shooting for. So obviously this one, it doesn't have as much wear and tear as mine, but you know, we'll put a few spots in that trunk lid so it looks right. We'll try and flatten the clear so it's kind of down to this sheen. Then buff up the rest of the car. So it kind of brings it up. And then hopefully I'll get this thing looking right. That's kind of the target. So I'll show you what I'm doing on my car. So you can see where we sprayed all that stuff yesterday. I've let that set up overnight, and I've been playing to the other side a little bit. And I'm working on it, so I'll take you over there. You see, I kind of started playing around a little bit. Instead of having the red on the front, I brought it down to the primer a little bit. And like I say, these type of spots, they're typical wear spots. And I think since I've done this, I've learned a few things already. So this is kind of cut in. Then I've tried to kind of thin it to where it exposes some of the under primer in there, between those spots. I think here I really went too far. It looks better when it's kind of just partially through. But again, I'm learning as I go. From what I can tell doing this so far, painting the paint on the outside is just a pain in the butt because you got to deal with the overspray and everything. I think in the future I will put my base color underneath that I want and put a thin coat of the top color and then work it down where I want to work it down, you know, so it looks correct. And this, I'll put a clear coat on with some flattening agent. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna know for a day or two if I've got the right sheen or not, because it takes a while for the flattening agent to work. But that's where I'm going with it. I'll set the camera up on the other side and we'll work on it here in a few minutes and I'll show you kind of what I'm doing. All right, so this part's just pretty simple. So this will white sealer on here. I mean, you can use sealer, base coat, urethane if you want to wait for it to dry, whatever. Doesn't matter, just you need a color. So whatever color you decide to use, you just, your base color and this color. And like I say, now that I have experience in it, I did this backwards. I thought I could control, you know, kind of my fade more like this, but I don't. I like the looks of it better when you sand through. It looks more legit. It just looks like more like the worn paint that I'm shooting for. So I probably won't do this again. Albeit I think with the clears on it, it'll look fine, but dealing with all this red overspray and everything is a bit of a pain in the butt. That is unnecessary to have to deal with. So I think next time around I won't be doing that. I'll just I'll do it the other way, but I'll kind of show you as I cut through, and you'll see the primer come through underneath too. And it's this. So this I've got to deal. It's sticky. I'll let that dry up. This I kind of take off all this red on the outside first, around where I'm working, so I can really kind of see where I'm going. You can see there, it's got that spotty look, kind of like the other car, if you want that. Which that's not really too bad for this side. The other side I put more wear on it, because driver's side is probably going to see more action. Well, I'm going to blend it a little bit here at the top, so I'm going to cut just a little bit more up here. And then at some point here, I want to see a little primer. I'll cut through there just a little bit, kind of up towards this corner. You can see like here, because I did this kind of backwards, I think, to what I'll do next time. I put more of the white sealer on, or whatever top color I want. I think next time I'll do that with a thin, I'll do like one coat instead of two. Because when you got to cut this much, it's a bit harder to control what you have in the end. I'm just looking to thin this a little bit, just so it kind of shows through a little. I don't want a big hard spot like I put on the back. That's not too bad. It's kind of legit. We'll play up here a little bit. I've got that black right here I put in. Just kind of faded some black in to make a darker spot. Yeah, I don't know if I'm happy with this or not. Take a little bit of that off in the back. A little right off there. And the one thing you can do with this too, like let's say I go too far. If I'm doing it the other way, if I'm doing it where I have my color I'm trying to sand through, whatever. I mean, we're going to be working, well, if you're working with enamels, the urethane's going to be longer. But if I'm working with something like this, I can just go ahead and spray a little more material back on, come back to it the next day. That's the only thing with base coats. I can do multicolors a hell of a lot quicker. I kind of like to do urethane because it looks a little deeper, looks a little more proper. And then I could get all this stuff sanded out and then hit it with a #1 compound. And it would probably look pretty good. Just the #1 compound isn't so shiny. Probably what I gotta do here is sand kind of almost all wrong and dig a little bit like you wouldn't normally do to get what I'm after. So I want to thin just this spot a little bit to soften it. Got my finger right in there. So that ain't too bad, but I'd like to get rid of some of this, and I think I would like to get rid of it. Down in here, I got some red overspray I gotta get rid of. Down that gutter. Ain't bad. Oh. I try to drag some of that primer look in here. Try to go through the white a little bit. Right in there. Maybe a little more right there. Feel like Bob Ross here. Make a happy little primer spot.
Ooh, that's a nice color.
There, just barely come through. Looks fairly legit like that. All right, we'll work towards the back. I think when it gets the clear coat on, it'll kind of blend everything. It looked pretty good. And of course, when I get done these spots, I gotta sand the whole roof. So I gotta get rid of the damn red overspray. Plus the clear set, the sealer set up overnight. I'm not sure the clear would really stick to it. So that gives you a little idea of what we're dealing with. I think it'll look all right. And see, I got that damn overspray down here I gotta get rid of, because the overspray just, it looks like overspray. You're not fooling anybody with that, so. End of the day, I use this as a test mule. Usually this car is my carburetor test mule. I tune everybody's carburetor on this poor thing. Beat the crap out of it. But now it's a paint test mule. So this now, so I get rid of that. That looks better. Now I'll have to, I got one spot back here and I'll just have to sand the whole roof off quick just to get all the overspray off. Wipe it down with silicone wash. Let that dry. I'll tack rag and spray. I'll spray a coat of regular clear and then I'll put a coat of clear on it with the flattening agent. And see what the hell we got, because the flattening agent, like I said, it'll take a while to know, but I'll do a video back here when I get done, but it won't look exactly right because it's still going to be a little too shiny. Because obviously, if I do this and I make it a nice, hard, fancy shine, it's going to obviously look fake. So my goal is, if I can have people look at that car and not mention the roof, or maybe say, how come the paint, you know, preserved better up there or whatever. I don't want them to, if people know I did it and they ask me how I did it, okay, it's not a success. Not for the end of the rainbow idea that I'm looking for, because like I say, I want to fake that trunk lid in on the Dodge, and I want to fake this one in so it looks like just a, you know, it's got a little wear in the paint. So this is learning. This is learning. So if I fail at this, it's all right, whatever. We'll have to learn how to do it better next time. If this is a success and I get the chance to see what people think of it, I mean, get her done. Well, here's the deal. It's done up. I got 20% flattening agent. I'm going to say this is going to be a little too flat for the Dodge. This car, I don't care. I mean, because the next couple days is going to tell the story, but I think this will flatten off a little bit more over the next couple days. So I'm probably going to have to modify that a little bit for the Dodge. Obviously here, I wish I would have, in a way, just done this. The red, like maybe put the red underneath. So I sanded through so it would kind of show like this. I think it would be a little bit better. I don't believe you'll see me do, if I try and age another one, you won't see me do it on top like that. It's all right, I'm fine with it, but I prefer the other. So you come around and you see it has a hole. You know, I tried to kind of age it in like it would happen. You know, places like this where people are, you know, leaning on the car and you're buffing the corners more and that sort of thing. Getting in and out of the car here, and the drip rail has some wear. Looks like it has some wear. You know, up in here. And the thing that is you could have just, you know, sanded this through. I could have painted the car and sanded this out kind of the way I wanted it anytime, but then you don't have the protection. This way we get the clear coat on it where, you know, the metal's protected. And that's really the goal. Because I parked this thing outside. This is not a gentle treated car by any means. So, and I don't want to make it one either. So, but I do have to do something with it. You know, I mean, it's starting a lot of places. So, at the end of the job on this one is going to be probably more of a treatment, kind of like this, here and there, a little less than that. But like here on tops of the fenders, you know, kind of the edges.
For sure.
Show through a little bit.
All our, you know, front stuff where you'd have your hands.
Yep.
Anything like that around.
But not to that.
And you can see it even on this paint, you know, I mean, it's much more worn here.
Yeah, and like this here, where it's just kind of showing through a little bit.
Yep.
That's kind of what I want to do, you know, more in that.
Yeah, you see where your arm has been on the windowsill.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell.
Yeah. So I'll kind of bring that back just because if I don't, what I want it to be able to be shiny when I'm done. I don't want to do the semi-gloss because you can't really buff on that and stuff because it'll be glossy. So I want it to look nice enough that it could conceivably still shine, but not so nice that it has to have new chrome and new everything.
No, and I mean, you even could satin it a bit, and whenever you want to, if ever you want to buff it. You know, like that amount of satin right there. If the car, if it conceivably stays at that level, that's beautiful.
The only thing is, like, I got a speck of dirt here. There's not a hell of a lot I can do about it.
Right, but I mean, it doesn't matter as much either, and it is naturally gonna sort of come out too.
Yeah, so you think I'm just gonna, you know, be able to forget everything and?
Well, I mean, to be honest with
not get anal retentive when I do it.
To be honest with you, until you just mentioned that, I didn't see it. So I mean.
Yeah. But.
And I mean,
you're no better than me. You know damn well.
Oh, I know.
If you were doing it,
well, I can tell you
get all anal retentive.
I can tell you we're about to do a whole bunch of it on my car, so you're gonna get to see how I act.
On your 56.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got a bunch of blend work to do on that. And I have a couple ideas of my own on how to do a few things that I want to try out. And
we are learning. This is new. This is my first attempt at doing anything like this, and I don't want it to look fake. I want it to look real.
Legit.
This is a little fakey.
Yep.
And this is a little too much, so I wouldn't do this again.
I would do it like you say. It has to go underneath. You can tell if you're an actual paint guy, you can tell that this is on top of the paint, not underneath of it. You can tell as a paint guy, that's underneath, that's on top, you know?
I can guarantee you, though, I'll get away with this in most crowds.
Yeah.
Most people won't see it.
Yeah, unless you're a paint and body guy that knows what's been going on up there.
But we see it.
We see it, but we know.
It's I think that'll play pretty well.
Right.
You know, overall.
Right.
I believe I'll do it. Anyway, the old roof's nice and straight now. It doesn't have a hole in the middle of it.
Looks a ton
I
better.
can get a windshield in. I can see something out of it. So.
I mean, for me, it's the lack of moss on the roof that really gets me excited.
That wasn't moss. That was more of a mold or something growing up there.
The mildew on the roof.
Yeah. It was growing kind of a black fungus of sorts.
It was.
Yeah. See what started me doing I was trying to sand out this track over here by the
right.
gutter.
It actually worked out.
And I went through into that primer and I said, shit, I kind of like that. So I said, I'll do some of the primer.
Well, and actually the block along this edge, it looks like it's down to metal there. Well, it kind of looks down to steel, the black a little bit.
It worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
So like all that shit was good. But this once I did this, I said, I'm going to do more of that. So I took the red off the front.
I actually like your deeper red spots. Like these spots I find look fine. Like I'm not really offended by it. I can tell they're on top, but a lot of people aren't going to be able to tell it's on top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your darker spots, I definitely think were the way, but you definitely needed with the bit of black. Yeah. I feel like it definitely needed that to be able to pull off that look.
Yeah, for sure. For sure it did.
So.
Yeah, it needed to look like it was going clear to the bottom, you know. So.
Yeah.
And then that black, it was a bit transparent.
Exactly. The black gives it depth. I find.
And this here looks like it's just barely rubbing through, you know.
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about that stuff. I mean, it looks really good on camera though.
Hey, like I said, I'm sure out in natural light and everything else, and as this kind of dulls off, I'm sure it's going to work all right. I probably wouldn't.
Right, because you wouldn't know if you didn't know body and paint. You could say that, oh, okay, that's the texture from the lower paint. You know what I mean? But it wouldn't make it wouldn't make sense. But it would make.
Go look at the Dodge. It does actually make sense.
A bit.
I looked at that before this.
Yeah.
That kind of was my inspiration. But this, now that I've done this, I'm going to do. Again, another time, I will do it different. I won't do it on top for sure. I'll put my base color or colors underneath, and my top color is going to be really thin because it's thicker. It's a little harder to judge where you're going to end up when you're sanding.
Right.
So I do like a single coat on top of my color.
Right.
You know, if it's covered at all.
Right.
And then try and keep it thin where it's very easy sand to cut through to your base color that you're trying to show through.
Right.
it's safe for you using clear coat. You know, there's a hair in there that actually is buried in there.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be
I was
alright.
going to try to pick that up. I didn't wear my paint suit, so I lost them.
That looks like a head.
Wouldn't have showed.
That looks like a head hair to me.
Yeah, it is.
That's.
I wish it was one of my gray hairs. It wouldn't show that much. But anyway.
I don't know. It looks like you've been rubbing your roof with something else to me.
It's not built there.
Fella really likes his roof.
So I got to put my windshield in it now and get her on the road.
Yep. Well, I guess.
My rear window trim is coming in the mail. So.
I mean, you need it to cover up the. You need to get after that with some
I'll
acetone.
clean that, yeah. Well, I was a DD speed shop. I didn't bother doing much masking, so.
Well, if you just covered that thing with cardboard a little bit, it'd be great.
Yeah. Anyway.
But you did get a little bit of DD Speed Shop inspiration for this.
That's all right. Yeah, well, I was stealing a little bit from DD on this outer color deal.
Yeah.
It looks
And
pretty,
it works.
It looks nice on his Nomad in pictures, and I don't mind this. It's just I prefer this. When I look at this compared to this looks more natural, and
Right.
I want it to look natural when I'm done.
Right.
I mean, I'm shooting for naturally worn paint, not fake patina. So I think this is the method I'll use from here on out if I'm doing any of this. Anyway, it was fun to do it. It was fun to learn.
And it is a little more difficult too. Obviously, it's going to require more sanding. This you got away with using a white sealer, which a sealer sands really, really easily.
Yep.
But if you're doing body color, you're going to have to paint it.
Base coat sands easy.
A urethane, yeah, but once you sand base coat, it paints over like shit.
Yeah, some of it does. Some of it doesn't.
I mean, that's the part. Yeah. You almost have to do it with an enamel or a urethane.
I can do it with a base coat, all right. You just got to let it sit up for a day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
once you open it up, you really have to make sure it's sealed back down. But so, depending on what paint you're going to use, it could be more time intensive, whereas this is definitely the easier way to do it.
It is, other than the fact you got to deal with all that overspray. That overspray is a pain in the ass.
Right.
Like everything was red and all down in here. I had to clean all that out. And so after doing this, I can honestly tell you the easy thing to do is that top deal. The other thing you can do too, if you want to cheat, you can take this sealer and tint it.
Yes.
Depending on how fussy you want
the
color.
Yes.
You could tint your sealer, I don't know. That's about. But I think I wouldn't be afraid to use any base coat. I really wouldn't. So. Even if you think it's going to look a little funky, I think you could probably put some clear on it, sand your clear.
Right.
And get it back.
Right.
Right. Worst case.
Worst case.
I don't think you need to. I don't think it's an issue. But this doesn't look funny where I sanded it.
No. It's very dusty, your car, all of a sudden.
It's awfully dusty.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
For sure.
I'm happy.
Looks like it's working out.
I mean, the car doesn't look funny that I've got this beautiful shiny roof on it.
No, it actually really does not look out of place.
Full hot rod, so.
No, it doesn't look out of place at all.
I think it'll work just fine. And the roof is nice and straight now, so that's good. So I don't have to go back and redo all that.
Much more presentable.
So when I do the car, I won't have to, scuff the roof off, spray it, and that's it. All good.
Well,
I'm happy.
Cool.
All right.